Okay, welcome everybody back again. So today we're going to do a bit of more technical kind of side of it. Last couple of times we've been doing circuits. This time we're going to use a little bit more of the movements for moving forward and backwards and stuff like that. Ciara's going to help us out.
Hello!
So we're going to do some social distancing schooling. Usually we'd be using pads and all sorts of stuff, but we can't do that today, so we're just going to be calling it. So we're going to run through some basic movements at the beginning, so you know what to do. Then we're going to do a few rounds of just repetitive movements to get used to it, and then we'll start calling some rounds towards the end. They'll be nice and simple, and if you're at home and you're trying this at home, just start with the basics and build on them as you go. If you're finding it complicated, then just take it back a couple of steps, go right back to the basics. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just run through the movements before we do the rounds. So the first one is the slip. So a slip is very basic, and what you're basically doing is moving out of the way of a punch. So if I'm punching Ciara, she's basically going to move out the way of my fist. It's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people go all the way, like they jump out the way and all this kind of stuff. You don't need to move very much. If you're in your boxing stance, which should be correct, you get in your boxing stance with your guard up, nice and tight. Your slip should basically be, you push your foot a little bit, it turns your hips, and your body moves and your head moves about a head's width out of the way. Okay, that's all you need to do. So Ciara's going to demonstrate a slip, little slip, and back again. Okay, so from here, slip and back, slip and back, and the other way, slip, slip. Okay, nice and simple. The next thing is a roll. So from a roll we're going to stand straight on, and then all we're going to do is imagine that there is a piece of string, or imagine you have a piece of chalk on your forehead and you're drawing a U on the blackboard. Thank you, James.
Thanks, James.
So that's a nice roll. So again, this is a defensive move for if someone's trying to punch you and you're basically just getting out of the way of the punch. So that's it, roll, roll, and we've got the slip, slip. The next thing is how to move. Okay, so in your stance, basically like how we went through yesterday, if you're going to move, you're going to step this way, forward, forward, back, back. Okay, if you're punching and stepping, which is what we're going to be doing, you're going to be punching with the opposite hand that you're stepping on. Okay, so it's just like walking. When you walk, your opposite hand is moving when you walk. Nobody walks like this.
Except if you're in Monty Python.
So we don't want to see any of that. So if you're punching, you want to just turn to the side. So we're going to go left hand out and right foot out, step, and then change. Nice and simple. Forward, step, 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 step. Very easy, okay? So that's what we're going to be practicing with today. Step, 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 okay? And then for backwards, it's actually the same foot that's going back because your weight is forward, so you're going to go back, 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 okay? Turn around, back, 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 okay? Nice and simple. So those are the basic movements for if you're striking the opponent and you're trying to move out the way as well. So the next thing is hopping. So from your in your boxing stance, so you're going to be hopping backwards and forwards on your toes. This is for if you're attacking your opponent or if you're moving out of the way of a punch. So if I was to try and strike Ciara, she would just hop back and forward, okay? Back, forward, back, forward. That's basically it. If she was trying to attack me, she would hop and punch. Punch, back, punch, back, punch, back, okay? So that's basically it. That's all we're going to be using today, along with the stuff that we went through the last couple of sessions. Basic punches and basic movements, okay? So we're going to do a few rounds of that to warm up. If you're at home, you can do this in your living room, you can do it wherever you want, and it's a really good way to get used to the feeling of moving, because like we were just discussing, it's very awkward to move your body opposites in opposite directions.
Your brain gets in the way, so turn your brain off.
Turn your brain off. So the first thing we're going to do is just some hand-eye coordination exercises using our balls. So we're going to grab the balls, and you can do this at home with anything. If you can bounce it, if you're on concrete or on a floor, you can bounce it up and catch it like that, or if not, you can just throw it up, catch it like that, okay? So all you're doing is getting used to your eye, focusing on what you're punching, okay? Nice and simple. If you can't do this, then just start by just throwing it up and catching it. Just start with that, as simple as you can. Just get used to getting your hand and your eye to work in the same way. Start nice and simple, okay? And then as you get better at it, you can start turning it, okay? And then as you get more comfortable, you can start using it as your throws. Okay, nice and simple. Like I said before, if you're on a hard surface, you can bounce it.
I don't think this will bounce
Okay,
here, but that's right.
that won't bounce. Oh, that one's better actually. You can bounce it like this. That's another way of getting your eye used to
Yeah,
it.
it's not.
And then you bounce it nice and high and catch it like that. Okay, so Ciara's just going to do a few more of them. So this can be implemented as part of your warm-up as well, just to get used to it, get used to moving. Next thing we're going to do is the walking and punching. So if you're in a room, just start on one side of the room, and we're basically just going to walk forwards and then backwards doing the punches. So as we discussed, opposite leg, opposite foot, okay, and then back, okay, good, keep going, opposite. There we go. Now again, this is for if you are moving around your opponent and you're going to be transferring your weight and moving and punching, okay? So the next thing, once you've done that for a while, get used to the feeling of having your brain tell your leg and your arm to move. It's kind of like doing this one. Next thing we're going to do, slip, slip, roll, roll. So just standing straight on in front of the camera. Again, this is slip, slip, roll, roll. Slip, slip, roll, roll. Okay, slip, slip, roll, roll. Good?
I was thinking.
Yeah, switch your brain off. Slip, slip, roll, roll. They don't have to be big movements. You don't have to go all the way down like this. It's just about getting used to your body moving out the way. Ducking and weaving. Okay, next thing we're going to do roll and hook. So from standing straight on, we're just going to roll and hook. Roll and hook. Roll and hook. Roll and hook. Nice. Very good. Keep going there. Okay. Next we're going to do slip, slip, jab, jab. Now we can do this one in the partners. Usually we would be standing toe to toe, but we're obviously going to have our distance. So the way you do that when you're with someone else, we do this in the club. We stand opposite each other, and I go jab, jab, slip,
Sorry.
slip, slip, jab, jab, slip, slip, jab, jab, slip, slip, jab, slip, slip. Okay, now this is really good because you get used to the idea of being aware of what your opponent is doing, because you have to be able to recognize what's happening before it happens. Okay, so when you're with your partner, you get used to seeing what's coming. And then as you get used to it, you speed it up a bit. Okay, a couple of minutes of that, you get nice and puffed. So that's basically it. So just to recap one more time, we have the tennis ball throws, hand-eye coordination. We have the walking and the punching. Opposites. We have the slip, slip, roll, roll, and the slip, slip, jab, jab. Okay. Those are your basic kind of defensive movements. So we're going to use those now to do a couple of rounds. Again, usually we would have pads, but we're going to have to do our best just with the distance that we have. So the first thing we're going to do is a step, a hop and jab, no sorry, a step like we practiced just then, the opposite foot, opposite hand, and then we're going to roll. So the way this would happen is if Ciara is my opponent and she's coming towards me, perhaps she's trying to throw a punch at me, so I'm going to slip out the way of that punch, and at the same time I'm going to strike her under her jab. So I'm going to go under like that, I would connect on the target, which is her chin, and then I would roll under her punch, okay? So again, so if you're punching me, step, roll, okay? So I'm going to now do that to Ciara, and she's going to do it when I punch her.
I've never done this before, so prepare for the laugh.
So you're going to be stepping forward on, yes, exactly. Okay, so, sorry, that was my fault, ready? Step, roll, okay, again, step, roll, good, step, roll, good, yep, ready? Okay, good, alright, so you can practice that at home. I would do a round or two of that. If you don't have a partner or there's no one around, what you can also do is put a piece of string from one side of the room to the other side and use that as your punch. So you can step under the string and go backwards and forwards. Next one, we're going to hop and jab forward. Okay, so for this one, all we're doing is hopping back and forth. Nice on your toes. And then on my jab, all you're going to do is when your front foot hops forward, you're going to jab as well, okay? Jab. Okay. Yeah, ready, go. Yeah. Jab.
That's much easier.
Jab. Yeah. Jab. Jab. Fully extend your arm there. Jab. Yeah. Jab. Good. Jab. Let's just turn around so they can see the other angle. Okay. Jab. Good. Jab. Jab. Hop forward more. Hop and back. Hop and back. Hop, back. Good. Good.
It's a bit hollow.
Yeah. Hop, back. Hop, back. Good. So that's good. So all we want to do is practice that. When you're hopping forward, you're hopping back just as fast, just as much as you're hopping forward. So you're in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay. So when you're doing that to me, you're going to punch, and I'm going to try and counter you. So. Okay. So you have to be good at that because your opponent may have longer arms than you, so you need to be able to get away from the punch. So the next thing we're going to do is hop and step exactly the same but going backwards. So for this one, same thing, you're hopping, but instead you're hopping and backwards, hopping and backwards, hopping and backwards. So this is basically if your opponent is coming at you and you're trying to get out the way, but you're
not fighting on grass.
You're going to counter as well. So we'll give that a shot.
It's going to be gas.
It's a little bit harder, but ready? Yeah, good. Yeah, good. 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 Nice and simple. So those are basically hopping in and hopping out. So you could hop in, hop out, and get used to that feeling. This is entirely about moving
That's Adam's
In and
dog.
out.
He says it out.
So the next thing we're going to do, we have the step and the jabs. We have the hopping in and out. We're going to do 1, 2, slip, 1, 2. Okay, this is nice and simple. So all we're going to do for this is standing straight on. We're just going to go jab, jab, slip, jab, jab. Okay, again, jab, jab, slip, jab, jab, slip, jab, jab, slip. Don't forget to look straight down your arms. Nice, Ciara. We did actually have some long poles that we were going to use, which would be great because I could stab her.
I accidentally left him at home.
Yeah, that's very good. So if you do this over and over and over and over, it just becomes second nature, and the whole idea is that you don't have to think about it. So when you're training and you're in the club or wherever you are, if you do this enough times, your brain will just cement it in there and you won't have to think about it, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is a bit of a free round, and then we'll do one more where we'll try and see how far we can go with the pads, and we'll see. So we're just together, we've got to call what we're going to do. Imagine I have a pair of pads. Ready? And jab. Okay. 1, 2. Good. 1, 2. Notice that when Ciara is moving, she's keeping her stance the same way. 1, 2. Okay. Double jab forward. Good. Again. Good. Okay. Hopping jab back. Good. Good. Good.
What do we do?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
Okay, and hopping forward. Good. Hopping forward. Good. 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 Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So have a play with that, see how you get on. So the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to build on our combinations. So when you're practicing at home and you're getting used to it, don't forget this is for the beginners. If you're more advanced, then I know you know what you're doing. This is for the people that don't know how to build their combinations and how to go about getting used to having combinations. Because you talk about combinations, 3, 4, 5 punch combination, people think it's overcomplicated. So all we're going to do is start very small, and then as you get comfortable, you're going to add the natural movements onto that as we keep going. So for this one, we're going to use what we were just practicing. We're going to see how Ciara gets on with this. So for this we're going to just start with the hop forward, jab, that's it, ready? Jab, okay. Jab, good. Jab, okay, that's good. She's already been practicing that, so that's fine. So next we're going to add jab, step, 1, 2. So we're going in, out, in, for 1, 2, okay? 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2, okay? So you're hopping in. She would be hopping into me as her opponent. I would be blocking it, so hop, block. I would counter. She's going back, and then she's countering again. 1, 2. Okay, so 1, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 1, 2. Good. 1, 1, 2. One more. 1, 1, 2. Okay. This is how we're going to get used to the idea. When you're in combat with someone, you're essentially trying to predict what they're going to do, and you're going to counter it. So she's countering my punch with her combinations as well. So now we're going to add a slip after that, because I'm going to counter hers again. So we're going to go 1, 1, 2, slip. Okay. I'm going to throw the other punches. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 1, 2.
Start again.
It's all right. 1, 1, 1, 2, slip. Okay. Again. 1, 1, 2, slip. Okay. 1, 1, 2. See. Slowly, slowly. Keep it nice and slow, and we're going to build on it. Next, we're going to, after the slip, we're going to add a 1, 2, any 3 punch combination, depending on how you feel. So it's going to look like this. 1, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, 3, okay? If you can move forward, or 1, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2. Whatever you want to finish it on, you can build on it however you want. So the important thing is that you're going in, out, in, slip, and then finish with whatever you want. and hopefully your opponent hasn't thought that far ahead and you're going to tag them. Okay, ready?
And you win.
So 1, in, out, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, 3. Anything. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Good. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Good. Again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry.
That's alright. So you can see how by starting with the basics, nice and simple, get your movement right, get used to the feeling of having your body doing all the right things, and then you just slowly add step by step by step by step and get it more complicated. So that's basically all we have. Last thing before we go would just be to do the plank, but we won't make you do that now. So you finish it off with your 2-minute plank as always. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.